Welcome to Marvel Champions Podcast, a podcast about Marvel Champions, the card game. I'm your host, Scott, and with me, as always, my co-host, Ryan.
Hey, how's it going?
Well, Ryan, it finally happened. After all these episodes of saying, hey, you should reach out to us, talk to us, interact with us. It happened. So,
Finally happened.
Yeah, one of our fans, give a little shout out to Ray. Sent us a message. It was kind of cool. It was like a little audio message. And he had some questions about Deadpool and Ronan. And he kind of inspired us to take a look at Ronan again. So I thought we'd kind of talk about our Ronan experience that we had.
Yeah, so part of the message he had, he also shared some possible scenarios that we could do. So we kind of tweaked it a little bit from what he suggested, but we took the two heroes that he asked about, and we pit him up against Ronan.
Yeah, so for me, it'd been a little while since we'd played Ronan. I know probably like a year and a half ago we had tried him, or we tried to do a campaign again through Galaxy's Most Wanted, and we got to him and we were just like, yeah, nope. After like 2 or 3 losses, this is not fun. Let's move on.
And at that point, the card pool was before Mutant Genesis. I think it was we had all of. Did we have Spider at that point?
No, because that came after
Spiderwave.
That was after the Spider Box.
Okay.
So that would have been like through like War Machine Valkyrie, I think.
Yeah, we were in the Mad Titan cycle.
Yeah. And we ran some okay heroes, but I guess they just weren't good enough for Ronan.
Yeah.
So we decided to reevaluate Ronan, and we paired an Avenger and an X-Man together. And our scenario was we were going to play Captain America and Wolverine, but it was set in like the 1940s.
Oh, that's right.
And they were going to go punch people in the face. But we changed it up and decided they were abducted by aliens.
And then somehow, through the craziness of Marvel lore, we ended up facing Ronan.
That's right. And we ran Ronan stock, I guess, if that's what you want to call it. Suggested modular sets. Because we figured if we're going to play him, let's play him pure, right?
Yeah. And this was standard.
Yeah. So Ryan, what was some of your Ronan takeaways?
He still is tough. There's just something about him that makes him really tough to play with, even with the updated card pool. He's still one of the hardest, if not the hardest villain that Marvel Champions has come out with.
Yeah, and I think we've talked about it in a previous episode, but like the going up by 2 threat per player every turn with a relatively low threat cap is just so rough.
It's devastating. And in this scenario, it's almost, I say almost because it ended up flipping in our scenario, it's almost a death sentence if that first scheme flips.
And we haven't really talked about it, but I feel like there's some newer scenarios that the start feels fast like that, but then it kind of it's pushing you to a point in the game, and then the game kind of shifts and it slows down a little bit.
Yeah,
which I can be okay with. Except for this one, it's just like go 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 go. Okay, now let's pour gasoline on it.
Yeah, it's like you're drowning, and then someone hands you a brick And then you're like, oh, thanks.
Yeah, here, take this cinder block.
Here's a cinder block.
Mm.
That really is just how it feels. It's not only is the main scheme very tight in that it's quickly can pop and it goes up quickly, but then it follows up with that following scenario that makes it even tougher. It also goes up quickly, and then on top of that, he's got his Kree command ship, which is definitely one of the environments that just is terrible. It's terrible because it's an environment that stays out the whole game. It gives you an extra encounter card, so automatically the whole scenario, he's throwing 3 encounter cards out for standard. And it does have a first player interrupt, which you can use the Milano and a resource to prevent a when revealed. But it feels like it's not enough.
Yeah. Well, and then they tease you with the Milano because some of his side schemes and the first main schemes hey, just exhaust the Milano and you can remove some threat from here. Oh wait, we made you exhaust that to get rid of a encounter card last turn. Sorry. Or it's stinking ship command makes you exhaust it every card. It's exhaust the Milano.
Yep.
Or get rid of half your hand. Okay.
Yeah. He's got encounter cards that are just not fun to encounter. I mean, his big ones is You Stand Accused. That one always comes out at the worst time, and that just makes him punch you or thwart even harder. His beloved Fanaticism, that he's got 2 of those, and of course, I think the big thing about the whole box of Guardians Most Wanted is just Surge, and he has tons of Surge in his deck.
I want to say we had one round where I think we saw 7 or 8 encounter cards.
Yeah, there was a couple of turns where it was rough.
It's who tested this scenario?
Yeah, I mean, there's a few good things, I guess, a part of the scenario.
Yeah. I mean, granted, he is a fifth villain in the box scenario, so he is tougher, and I get that. But he can be miserably miserable.
Yeah, I mean, there's this weird, not weird. There's different villains, as in you've got your villains that as they play, they get set up and get stronger and stronger as the game goes on. And then there's some villains like Ronan that just starts off at 100% and then just keeps going at 100%.
Yeah, see, that's some of the other scenarios. It's they start out tough, but you kind of work your way through a few things here and there, and it kind of dampens the villain a little bit. And he doesn't do that.
Yeah, with a lot of the, we'll say the most recent one outside of Next Evolution was Magneto.
Yeah.
And he's tough, but there are things you can do throughout that game to make him less tough.
Yeah.
And that's not the type of scenario this is. It's 100% go. I guess the only thing is he's got his universal weapon, which gives him stalwart and a bunch of things, but you can get rid of it. So I guess that is one thing you can do. And that is nice that he has stalwart, but you can get rid of it. I like it when you can do that to villains. So it makes him tough, but not too tough.
I like it when stalwart is achieved and not a permanent thing.
Yeah. But anything else with Ronan? I don't want to go too much in that, but
Ronan himself or Ronan the scenario?
Both.
So I just want to point out his default encounter set is Kree militants, and those guys are rough, man. 5, 6, and 7 health. That's, I think, they're there to roadblock you.
Mm-hmm.
And, one has patrol, one has guard, one has quick strike. So they're just kind of getting in your way, and then you're having to waste all that extra damage that you need to put to Ronan that you can't.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, in our game, So I ran Wolverine, aggression, and that's basically all I was doing. Because at a certain point, I can't remember who started off with the Power Stone, but eventually Ronan got it. And I should say we did play with the updated rules about dealing damage in this scenario, with the Power Stone.
Yeah, it says after a hero or villain deals 3 damage to attached character with a single attack, attach Power Stone to the attacking hero or villain. And from, I guess, the recent update, you don't actually have to take the 3 damage, but if the original damage being dealt out was 3 or more, that, I guess, met the forced response.
Yeah.
So playing Captain America Protection, I was able to block a lot of that, or most of it, a lot of the time. But when he's attacking for like 5 and 6, he's dealing to me 6 damage, but I'm not taking 6 damage.
Yeah. And in that scenario, once he got the Power Stone, he kind of had it for majority of the game because we couldn't get past those Kree militants. Like every time we take one out and finally start trying to do damage, another one would come out. And it just became very frustrating because, like you said, they're so high health. So all that health that they're soaking up, we could have been doing to Ronan.
Right.
And part of Kree militants is the Kree combat armor, which is he decreases all damage by 1.
Yeah, he got that like twice.
he got it early and he got it like twice, and so that also prevented us from getting that exact 3.
and
to
he,
do
as
it.
in Ronan, because there was no other villain or enemies out, so it went to Ronan.
Yeah, and so it was just bad timing on there. And then I think most of the damage at that point was small little damage here and there, and like overkill damage, but it wasn't enough to like get the Power Stone. But I guess, does it overkill count because you were dealing damage to the minion rather than overkill?
Because the Power Stone says from the attack, and technically you're not attacking the individual with the Power Stone. It's just the overkill damage going to him.
Yeah. So that's why, like, we were knocking him down, but it wasn't direct damage,
right?
Because of all the roadblocks.
And I think we talked about it a little bit. Having him +1 attack really was better than having him have 2 boost cards for that one player.
Yeah, because half the time the boost cards, they have something, they have a boost ability, and so it's like one of them is the single-minded fury, which is attach the Power Stone to Ronan. So even if you were able to get it, you just get it.
Yeah. And then the other thing I think we noticed, like, he got the Power Stone, and then he got like 2 of his side schemes out that really like played off each other, and I think it was even his second stage.
Yes.
Yeah. So we had like the worst case scenario. So the second stage says, while Ronan has the Power Stone, you can't remove threat from this scheme. And then Superior Tactics says that Ronan gets the Power Stone and it can't be unattached from him. So as long as Superior Tactics was out, you couldn't remove the stone. Well, because the stone couldn't be removed, then you couldn't deal or take threat off of his main scheme. And then he had cut the power, which was it's just a crisis icon, so you can't remove from the main scheme anyways.
Yeah. It was a pretty rough moment. I think that was the moment of, like, if we weren't able to jump that hurdle, it was game over for us.
Yeah.
But thankfully, we did.
We did. Yeah, I was surprised. We didn't run any justice, but we were able to take care of a lot of thwart. Captain America being able to ready, and his was it fearless determination or something like that, where he can +1 thwart and draw a card. That combo there was clutch.
And we've talked about it before, but our concern with Wolverine when we first were getting him was that he was going to be like a Hulk or a Valkyrie, just very focused on attacking and not great thwarting. But he's actually a pretty decent thwarter. And then aggression just has so many cards that allows thwarting to happen, that you can work around that.
Didn't you run like some type of modified boost your attack and then use the aggression cards where it's like exhaust and deal damage equal to your attack, or exhaust and thwart is equal to your attack? Did you do some of those?
Yeah, let me see if I can pull open some of those cards. I think I had. What did I have? I'm pretty sure I ran Mart. No, that's not the one I'm thinking. Gatekeeper. Gatekeeper is an aggression upgrade attachment. So you attach to a minion, and that minion gets +2 hit points and gains patrol.
Yeah.
And then after you defeat that minion, you remove 4 threat from the main scheme.
Yeah. Yeah, that one you used multiple times, which was good.
Yeah, and then I ran it with, I think, follow through, which increased my excess damage, so that when I did like into the fray, I could take a little bit extra to try to remove some thwart from
Yeah, and that was the nice thing
the
about some of
dudes.
those aggression attack cards is a lot of those are a little more expensive, but with Wolverine, since you can pay with your health, it's not as big a deal, and you can still do something else with your other cards.
Yeah. No, that's exactly, that was the kind of the plan, is to try to, because I knew these minions were coming, so if I could take them out and use that to thwart. And because, like you said, I could just, if I am in a circumstance where I need to do a lot of damage, but I also need to thwart, I could take damage to pay for a high cost card, and that keeps my hand to be able to do other things.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that was very helpful.
All right. Before we transition over to his other question, it's still on Ronan, but any advice for fighting Ronan you would give to somebody trying to accomplish this accomplishment of saying, yeah, I beat Ronan?
Just don't play him. I'm just kidding.
I think mine was that helped us is we both ran a copy of Professor X, and if you can get his universal weapon off early, get it back away, it's kind of key. Get that thing off and stun lock. I mean, I think the thing that benefited us is the stun and confuse lock. We were able to prevent a lot of stuff and kind of synchronize our flipping up and flipping down.
Yeah, if you can, that is kind of the secret of Ronan. If you can get rid of his universal weapon and then stun and confuse him, that's going to be your key to beating him. And then with his scenario, there's just luck. Sometimes you just get terrible draws, and you just get put in a situation where you just can't get out. He has the amount of encounter cards that come out that you're bound to get into one of those situations. It just depends on at what time. If you're set up, you might be able to overcome it. Sometimes it happens early, and people just fold it up and try again.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was one card that, because we knew we had a universal weapon, I had a Sunspot in the deck, or Sunfire, not Sunspot. And so as soon as I can play him, I can spend a resource and get rid of that hammer. And we did it one time. It came out twice on us. You got rid of it really early, and then
I
was able to do that for the other one. Mm-hmm.
I think the other thing I would say is, if you can play a hero that has some form of complete damage, like negation,
yes,
it does come in handy. Because if he's swinging for a big amount, you're just like, okay, shield block, backflip, something like that can just completely nullify an entire attack.
Yeah, you had the shield block, which was huge.
Yeah. And I think the other thing that, traditionally when I play, like if I play an Avenger, I make like do an Avenger build. But like, don't be afraid to like mix and match. If you can, there's some cards that are trait locked. But like, I ran like Nick Fury and Professor X and like a Polaris for the tough. So there was it was a variety of like different traits and things. Mix and match.
Yeah, it almost is better to face him with 2 or more players. I've never done him with 3 or 4 players, but I feel like if you have 2 players, you can build around each other to face him. But as a solo, you got to have a hero that can do it all.
So pretty much what you're saying is if you're going to play solo, play Doctor Strange.
Yeah, because I know some people are like, oh, I've beaten Ronan with Hulk solo and stuff. Like, is it possible? Yes. I mean, people have done it, but how many times do you have to lose before you get the right cards at the right time to make it happen?
Right.
But if you're just going to sit down and play, you need someone that's better suited to be able to handle everything, because he just throws so much at you that you've got to have something to counter everything.
Yeah, he stretches you with his thwart, his attack, having to defend, having to deal with his ally or minions. He pushes your focus in so many different directions that ultimately one ends up giving.
Yeah. It's he's a tough one, but I will say, and I will admit to all the Marvel Champion fans, when I do beat him, it is the most satisfying thing out of all the other villains. I mean, I'm happy when I beat Magneto or Loki or Thanos, but when I beat him, I know that we went through some stuff, and I'm gonna need to like talk about it.
Yeah, I felt that way when we beat him. I was like, oh man, we beat him like fair and square too.
Yeah, no cheating allowed in that one.
Yeah. So I would agree with that. Like, if you want to feel accomplished, or if you want to be going into the pool aspect with that new pool card that says like, if you lost your last game of Marvel Champions,
There you go.
just play Ronan before you play next time, right?
Yeah. So good segue, because one of the other questions that was presented to us was, how do we feel about Deadpool versus Ronan?
And I think if Deadpool is gonna beat Ronan, I think it's gonna have to be via a rush strategy and just go like full damage.
And it's like you got to be quick, because we talked about this, and you've mentioned it already. Here is his schemes go up so quickly, and Deadpool's whole thing is about schemes going up, acceleration when he dies, and other stuff, I guess, that you've got to be so quick, because he will flip really quick to that second scheme, and you're in big trouble if you can't figure it out, especially if you're still in the first stage and he's flipped that second.
Well, when he flips to 2A, he gets the Power Stone, and then on 2B, you can't remove threat from there while he has the Power Stone. So
yeah,
and I guess the benefit of Deadpool is that sure, you can take the hammer to the face and you won't die, theoretically. But I think you're on a ticking time bomb. 3-4 rounds, and he's scheming out if you're not like doing anything for the scheme.
Yeah. I know people are going to do it, and I'm all for it. But man, I will admit I am a little scared of trying that, because I know I'm gonna try to push. Say I get that card that he just like loses his. You just take out your health and you do damage equal to that. You could take him out in that first turn, but as soon as that he flips, you're gonna cut the power. You're gonna have how much health does he get? Like 4.
So he does start with toughness on all of his stages.
Oh yeah, so he has to get rid of that first.
He's 14 and 18 on stages 1 and 2.
So Deadpool doesn't have that much health, I don't think.
No. So I mean, you're getting half of it down. So you're either going to have to really stack your deck with big attack events, or you're going to have to be milling that mulligan first stage for his high cost or his high damage output cards.
Yeah, I think his swords have piercing, don't they?
They might. I haven't re-looked at Deadpool in a couple weeks.
Yes, his swords do have piercing. Exhaust Deadpool's katana and take 1 damage. Deal 2 damage to an enemy. This attack gains piercing. So if you're able to get Deadpool's katana out, you could get rid of that tough and do some damage to him.
How much does it cost?
It costs 2.
And then how much does his, like, one of his
maximum effort?
tag?
0.
Oh, well, maybe you could do it.
So he has 9 hit points.
Yeah.
So if you did his katanas, or at least one of them, so you do 2 damage, so Ronan's at 12 hit points. You got rid of his tough, and now you're down a health, so you have 8 damage to deal for
so you
0
do
cost.
8, it kills you, you flip over.
Now that scheme goes up 3, and it already starts off with 2, so
and
you're
because
at 5 automatically before
and
he
because
schemes.
you flipped down, you can't flip back up because you've already used your
you already
hero
flipped
form.
up. Yep.
Yeah.
So he just schemed out. So that first turn, he's flipped to his second.
So he flipped to his
just
second.
From that scenario,
he takes the Power Stone back because you would have taken it. You dealt the damage. So he takes the Power Stone back by flipping the scheme.
Scheme over, he would take it back, yeah. And then he would thwart.
Well, he wouldn't thwart the main until after. So you'd be going into the second round on stage 2 with 1 thread on there. Yeah. Unless you get one of his awful cards like You Stand Accused, then he's scheming for +1 scheme with the Power Stone, scheming for 4.
And not only that,
plus a boost.
Even if you can flip up and kill him and flip him to stage 2, like you said, he's going to get toughness skin, and then Cut the Power is going to come out.
Yeah.
So then now it's going to be
stage 2.
Yeah. So now it's going to be even harder.
So then you have 2 things preventing you from removing threat.
Yeah, and it's only 10, and because you already put an acceleration on there, it's going up 3 every turn. It's going to be you hold on to your bums.
Yes, no kidding. Hold on to your
You're
beanie.
in for a wild ride.
Yeah, so Ray, there is your answer.
It will be crazy. Now, if you play campaign, Ronan, that might be interesting with the pool aspect, because it builds off all those symbols.
Yeah, because the campaign cards have a few symbols for his standard side.
Yeah, campaign card, and then of course the Kree militant or Kree command ship already has one out, so it could be a good aspect for a pool deck, but maybe not Deadpool with pool.
Yeah, that's rough. Just like talking through that, that sounded awful.
The note to everyone is Ronan's hard. If someone says they're not hard, they're lying. I mean, sure, you might have a game where he was easier. I mean, absolutely. Any villain can be easier depending on the hero and just luck. But He's been so far the most consistently difficult villain in the game, which, I mean, I guess you have to have some type of benchmark of the high of the high.
You always have to have
So,
the toughest, right? I mean, every game's gonna have the toughest villain.
yeah. So Ronan's the one. He beats out everybody else.
I will say that I think the card pool that we have now warrants a relook at Ronan if you haven't looked at him in a while.
Yeah. Just always remember to be prepared. Don't go in at half. Was it like half loaded or something like that? So
Half cooked.
Yeah.
Now I will say there's probably some X-Men heroes that might do a little better. I'm thinking like a Shadowcat, maybe a Colossus. I think
Shadowcat could be good.
Will struggle a little bit with the threat, but I think a Shadowcat being able to take big attacks, she don't care.
Yeah, Shadowcat would probably be a good one for him. She can thwart good. She can attack pretty good. So
yeah,
and she can have that double confuse, which might be good to flip down.
Yeah, you get the one complete nullification and then the confuse.
Yeah,
kind of like her webbed up, whatever it's called. I can't remember.
Yeah, I forgot what it's called.
Well, before we wrap up here, Ray did admit that he's unfortunately still a chump, but he's listening to the podcast, working his way to a champion.
I think just the fact that he emailed, he is a champion.
He is. He's a true hero. He said he played Scarlet Witch one time against Ronan, which I think would be a fun. Because you can kind of mill some of his bad cards, potentially.
Yeah.
But he said it really ramped up on him when he got stage 2.
Yep.
Which I think, unfortunately, that is just Ronan.
Yep. He doesn't get easier as you beat him up.
Yeah, 18 health on a stage 2 is pretty... It's pretty up there. It's pretty high. Most time you're looking at like a 12, 13, and then like a 15, 16 is like the second stage, so...
Gosh. Or, 25 health for stage 3.
Yeah, no kidding. Play expert. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, and he has retaliate 1.
Yeah.
Gosh, that's terrible. Oh, and he starts off with superior tactics.
Yeah, it's like all those bad cards he just brings out automatically.
Oh, gosh.
Cause some of those ones you can kind of get lucky and you never see them because they just never come out as the encounter card.
Yeah.
No, he just like, I'm going to bring out all the awful cards I own.
Yeah. He definitely was like, just devastating. I remember when we first played him, I remember because we always run every campaign with the campaign box heroes, of course, and it just seemed so impossible with Rocket and Groot, and even now taking those two against him just doesn't sound fun.
That was rough. And I even think that first time around when we ran them in that scenario, I want to say everyone complained a whole bunch. So they like came out and be like, well, you don't have to include the campaign card. Because like his campaign card comes out with something crazy like hinder 6 per player. Plus it starts with like 4. So it's like you're trying to thwart off like an additional like 14 at the start of the game. Because I want to say it has like it has a hazard icon, maybe. So it's like another card, and maybe like an acceleration icon. It's no fun. Maybe I've got it up here.
Is it? It is a Kree. That's the expert one.
Oh, it's just a hazard.
It's you just get the extra encounter card.
So it's base 6, hinder 3, so it's 12 in our scenario with 2 player.
And that's 4 encounter cards for 2 players.
Yeah, 2 per player.
Automatically. Rough.
I mean, it goes from playing standard to heroic 1. So.
I think if campaign, he also starts off with with pincer maneuver as well.
Yeah.
So the scheme's going up an additional 2 every turn. Oh, gosh,
not cool,
it is.
Ronan. Not cool.
It is, and it's 7th ward. Ugh, gosh, man, it was just too much.
Yeah.
So.
But there is hope. Face Ronan again. Reevaluate your strategies. I think it's worth it. I want to say, for me, it was definitely worth it. It was fun to play again.
Yeah, it was a good match to play with those two versus him. So it was back and forth a lot. There was some scary moments, but overall, it was a good game. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed a Ronin game. I don't think I ever would have said that.
Yeah. Yeah, usually that phrase doesn't go together with Ronan.
Yeah. Darn it, I guess I've finally converted.
All right, looks like we're playing Ronan for all the new characters. We're just going to test all the precons against Ronan, right?
Gosh, please, man. No.
No, thank you. All right. Well, another big shout out to Ray. We appreciate you reaching out to us and sharing some of your thoughts and questions and inspiring us to play Ronan again. And you are now officially a champ, so congratulations. If you want to reach out to us and give us some ideas, maybe you'll be lucky enough to have us talk about it. Play your scenario, your suggestion. As long as it's not awful, we'll see what we can do. And you can reach out to us at marvelchumpionspod@gmail.com. Ryan, anything on the way out?
Get ready for some X-Force, everyone.
X-Force. I'm doing the like X-Force X, but you can't see it because it's a podcast.
Wow, that's great content right there.
All right. Thank you, everybody. Remember, if you want to go from a chump to a champ, listen to the Marvel Champions podcast. Thanks.
See ya.